Previously, on the 0 to KSM challenge, we had some unfinished business in LFR, we took down Broodmother, but got no loot. We did some work on our professions, getting our fishing and cooking up. Oh no, fun times. And then we finally stepped into our first keystone, an Azure Vaults +2. I fell in love with slappy hands, I learned how useful grips could be. But when did I turn into a pirate? I must have missed that on the last one. We would have +3'd a knockout 5 if the boss didn't get reset. I'm still not over it, man. It's too soon. Yeah, no loot in that run either. We timed a Ruby Life Pool 7 and got the Blaze Hoof trinket, which I'll probably never use. And then we had to venture back into the Azure Vaults. +9 this time. I was rewarded this time with a chest piece. Nice. Then came the challenge of a +10. We jumped into a Court of Stars and to my surprise, we +2'd it. No loot in that one either. It was then time to do my key, a Shadow Moon Burial Grounds +10. Probably the easiest key this season. We still +3'd the key even though I derped on percentage. And we ended up looting a massive upgrade, a weapon. We finished the day by crafting our lariat, yet another massive upgrade. That took our item level all the way up to 378 and our mythic score up to 655. But now we find ourselves in a new reset, which means we have the vault to open. But before you go and open your vaults, it's very important to check the weekly quest. See, this week was time walking week, and that means basically completing the 5 time walk-ins will grant you a cache. Now inside the cache it states that it will hold a piece of gear at 389 item level, so it'd be a pretty big upgrade. However, I've opened a couple of these on other characters and I've actually got gear that's up to 405. I think it goes up to 408, I'm not quite sure 411, but it definitely doesn't stop at 389. Well, apparently it does for my DK. And yeah, another trinket I won't use. Thanks, great. Yeah, cool. But basically, the reason we do the time walk-ins and open the cache before the vault is because we can't control what we get from the cache. So let's say if we did the vault first and I took a chest piece, and then the cache gave me a chest piece, yeah, that'd be pretty awkward. Same rules apply for the Mythic 0 weekly. Yeah, get those done first. Another thing I'd recommend doing first is the world boss, and yeah, I didn't do it in that order, I derped. And it probably won't be the last time. So yeah, do as I say, not as I do. But it was time to open the vault, and we got a few decent options. Some pretty nice upgrades. Now, we did in fact get a chest piece, and it is what we took. But that's a complete coincidence from the example I just mentioned. I took it purely because it was a tier piece, not because it was the biggest upgrade, because it wasn't. But the sooner I can get my set bonuses, the better. It also helps that this week is the week that the catalyst comes out. 2 set this week? Anyway, I put the new chest piece on and it bumped our item level up by 1. 379, yay! I think at this point I realised I hadn't done the world boss yet. So yeah, that's where we went next. Now, you're probably going to laugh at this part, but do you remember what I said about the vault? You should always do things before the vault. We killed the world boss and we got loot. Luckily for me, it was a ring. 395 and all that juicy haste. Nom nom. Damn, this guy's nearly as bad as my monk. He gets all the gear. It must be an orc thing. Next on the list was to unlock the catalyst. And unfortunate to the DK, this week I had to pass on converting a bit of gear to get my 2 set. Purely because I wasn't sure if my main character needed something. So yeah, sadly, no 2 set this week. Now, the keystone we got from the vault was a +10 Jade Serpent. I wasn't feeling too confident about this one, so I thought I'd start off with someone else's key. I thought I'd try my luck, and I got accepted to a Knockout Offensive +12. Now, I don't mind this place. As mentioned in the previous episode, I get a little confused when it comes to the percentage. As most do, I make up the percentage in the big open field area by the 3rd boss, but I forget which ads to take. So I basically just make it up as I go. I mean, I know you get to 94% and the last 2 ads before the last boss will make up the rest, but I pretty much wing this one every time. And I'm pretty sure I do it differently every time too. But will we actually make it there? Now here, what you're about to witness is the biggest mistake I have made so far. I'm fully aware of it, and I know you shouldn't do it this way, but sometimes my brain just doesn't work. So if I pause it here, Knockout Offensive has a couple of patrols that you need to take care of. Now we have this patrol in the middle of the screen that wanders around the ballistas. You've also got the pack by the ballistas on the left, but those guys are stationary. Here we have 3 options. I can either pick up the patrol by itself, and we take care of that first. The second option is to pull them both together and use something like Bloodlust. That's my preferred way of doing it. Or we have option 3. we can let the patrol pass and then take out the pack at the ballista. Now, if you do this and you don't kill it in time, the patrolling pack will come back. And then you have to deal with them both. And then you're probably not on the same wavelength. And you definitely don't bloodlust. Now this, more often than not, will cause some deaths. Probably a wipe. So which option do you think we took? So yeah, you probably guessed it, but we went with option 3. That thing I said earlier about do as I say, not as I do, that applies here too. In all honesty, I wanted to move out the way, but I really didn't trust the other guys. Like, I fully expected everyone else to pull. So I decided just to jump in there and grab them. Sadly, I got knocked up by one of the swirlies. I think maybe I panicked with the rotation and got a bit flustered there too. And come on, don't tell me you didn't see this coming. So yeah, we were off to a great start. From here, I decided to play more cautiously. I slowed down, took my time, and the rest of it went pretty smoothly up to the first boss. The first boss, again, pretty simple. That went down quite nicely. The Raging Tempest also went down, although it was a bit hairy at times. And then to my surprise, we started struggling with the ads leading up to the third boss. Now, unfortunately, I think this is where players' concentration seemed to dip a little, because not only were we lacking on the interrupts quite massively, but everyone seemed to be standing in everything. We were also lacking some stuns and interrupts, which wasn't great either. The damage in this key overall wasn't amazing, and judging by the time left, as you can see on the right, this wasn't going to be a timed run. I was well aware of that, but at this point, I just wanted to finish the key. Now, judging by details, you can see the Demon Hunter's not having a good time right now. He's not doing a massive amount of damage. He's taking a buttload of avoidable damage. And the interrupts are a little to none, which he has no excuse for really. And I'm not usually one to point stuff out, but I cannot stress enough how important interrupts are in these dungeons. As a rule of thumb, going into it, at least for me personally, I feel like the priority targets, the tank, should be the one that does the first interrupt, followed by a melee DPS. This is something, of course, that you can discuss with your group at the beginning of the dungeon, but I'm pretty sure for the majority of pugs, at least at this level, they pretty much just jump into keys and wing it. It's okay, I'm doing that too. Now, as I say, I'm usually the type of player that I'll try encouraging other players if they're playing poorly. I mean, calling players out halfway through a dungeon, or even at all, and insulting them, it's just going to make things worse. However, the druid didn't hold back, and it turns out that the Demon Hunter's gear was completely broken, which explains the poor damage. You're not getting away from the avoidable damage or the interrupts though, that's on you, man. Now, we continued struggling with some of the packs, and here is where I made mistake number 2. However, this time it wasn't so much with what I pulled, it was actually how I played. I was sitting on some pretty big defensive cooldowns, some mitigation, and a couple of trinkets. I think once again I got a little flustered with my HP dropping so fast, and as you can see in the middle of the screen, I got a nasty little dot on me, which reduces the amount I heal. This is where you want to pop defensives. So here, both the DK and the Demon Hunter die, and I follow shortly after. So we all die, we release, and we start flying back. I guess we're not finishing this one. Well, we've had a good run so far, but it looks like this one has come to an end. This was the first key so far that really knocked me in terms of confidence. I should have done a lot better than I did, and mechanically I was pretty poor. And well, ultimately I caused the last wipe, so I pretty much blamed myself for the key. Am I fair to do so? Probably not, but I'm the master at putting myself down, so it is what it is. So with the failed knockout 12, I decided to take myself back to 10s. Ideally, looking back at it now, I should have gone for 11s. That way I can stock up on primal focus and work towards getting some more crafted gear. So maybe that was mistake number 3? Oh, it's been a rough one today. I could just show you all the good parts, but then we won't learn anything. Plus now you've got something to laugh at, right? Some of you guys thought I chose Blood DK for an easy ride. Hopefully I've disproved that. You believe me now? I'm bad, okay? Anyway, back to 10s, and we jump into an Algotha's Academy. Now, I'm not going to go over all of the dungeon, but I did just want to mention these ad packs here by the stairs. Now, I don't do it in this pool, but I usually pull them together and bring them to the top of the stairs. Now, what you actually want to do for this part is bring them on the stairs, and if you stand just underneath them, you don't actually get hit by the whirlwinds. And well, if you've ever played a melee, you know they hurt. Big thanks to Chris for sharing that tip with me. He's my buddy, he teaches me things. We clear the rest of the dungeon, get a bunch of rating, but sadly, no loot. And only 6 deaths. Nice. And then it's time to move on to one of my least favourite for this season, Halls of Valor. Now, I don't particularly mind it overall. It's very unforgiving in terms of time. I mean, you compare it to a Burial Grounds, perhaps. Like, without a doubt, the easiest key this season, right? And if you wipe in Halls of Valor on the last boss, it takes so long to run back. Now, each time I come to Halls of Valor, I seem to do a different route. After Fenrir, typically I like to take some of the bears. But for the most part, after you've taken down Fenrir, the rest of the group usually run back the same way you came. And it usually completely messes up my run. In terms of percentage anyway. Because then you just got to make up the percentage as you go. And I'm pretty bad with that. I think sometimes it's a pretty good idea to perhaps link the route that you're going to run. So I could have opened up MDT and shared it with the group. If they had MDT, they would have been able to open it and they would have been on the same page. They would have known the route we were going to take, the mobs we were going to pull, etc. It's not something I've personally done as of yet, but I think as I progress further and maybe pushing those 16s upwards, at least with Halls of Valor, this is something I might consider. And for the record, the routes that I have been using are from Dorky. Now, Dorky's one of the best tanks in the game. He plays in NA, and his routes are really good. But what I've slowly come to realise is they are only really good for an organised group. Like, if you're on the same page, fine. But for a pug environment like this, perhaps not the best approach. I did rectify this later on, and I imported some routes from Quasi, another well-known tank in the WoW community. Oh, he also does these really great, like 1 minute Mythic Plus tips. I highly recommend you go check those out. They're really, really good. Anyway, we get into the run and it goes fine. We down the first boss and then we move on to Hyra? Hyja? Hyja? Herja? I'm dyslexic, man. I don't know. It's the one with wings, okay? This one doesn't go too badly. The healer does die, but the druid picks them up and we down the boss. On the way to Fenrir, the next boss, I make a massive opener mistake. I run into the pack with only 1 stack of bone shield, and needless to say, I go splat. Now, I've spoken to a couple of DKs about opener, and they both choose to go a different route, but for the most part, they usually pop Dancing Rune Weapon. This of course will grant you bone shield, follow that up with a tombstone for extra mitigation, and then of course because the tombstone will consume your bone shield, you then want to use a Death Caress to replenish the bone shield. That's the opener anyway. You then want to follow it up with Blood Boils, Heart Strikes and Death Strikes. But we're not going to get into how to play the DK because really, you're going to take DK advice from me? Come on, man. Nope. Yeah, maybe go check Dorky's videos out. Anyway, as mentioned before, we end up down in Fenrir and yeah, doesn't look like we're killing bears today. As mentioned, not doing the route that I planned kind of throws me off. I went with the group. We killed the 2 big ads in the doorway, and I'm pretty sure we needed like 84%. I think it's like 83.7 or something, but yeah. I try explaining this to the group, but yeah, completely ignored, which means after the last 2 bosses, we got to come back this way. And this, well, it wastes so much time in keys. I mean, listen, if you queue up to a pug and you haven't got an organised route planned with the group, I'm sorry, but as much as you don't like the route, you have to follow the tank. You have to follow the tank. The tank is, unfortunately, because of what the role represents, is seen as the leader. So although you might disagree with the route, you may also get impatient with the speed of the run. But nevertheless, you must always follow the tank. Oh well, we moved on to the God King and it went down pretty well. We started with Odin and again, it started pretty well, but on one of the pulls, I ran one way with one member and the rest of the group ran another way. Like, again, there's no dedicated marker, there's no like, we're all gonna run this way together. So it's unpredictable. Maybe that was my fault. Maybe that is the typical direction to run out of. But basically, as you can see here, what happens is we don't clear the thundering stacks and just before we get out of the circle, me and another party member get stunned. We wipe and I take the opportunity to grab one of the packs on the way. We get back to the boss and thankfully we managed to kill it with 42 seconds remaining. Now, if ever I've made a mistake in a run, usually I like to apologise to the team. Though, I mean, regardless, we still timed the key. But that didn't stop the sarcastic hunter that was pretty much carried through that run in terms of damage, for basically blaming me for ruining the entire key. They then proceed to link me an MDT run. At first I ignore it, but then curiosity gets the better of me and I check it out. Funnily enough, their route actually takes the bears. Everyone else ran off in the other direction, including the hunter. Also, the numbering, where's 1 and 2? I mean, the numbering doesn't matter so much. It's more about the groups that are gathered. But I'm still relatively new to MDT, so I was looking for like pulls 1 and 2, and I was really confused. But yeah, the Hunter was great on the interrupts, don't get me wrong, but their damage probably doesn't justify their sarcasm. I don't know, was they fair to call me out? Did I really mess the entire run? We timed it. I'll let you guys decide in the comments below. All in all, this week was a pretty miserable week in terms of tanking. I made a lot of mistakes. Though thankfully I get to watch the footage back, I can point them out and I can learn from it. Plus you guys have been really helpful and supportive in the comments as well. So I appreciate all those tips. Keep them coming. I don't want these videos just to be about all of the good moments and oh look at me, I did this well and I got loads of gear, yay. Like if I end up having a bad week like this week, I'm going to show you all these bad moments. Because again, not only can I learn from it, but hopefully some of you guys can take something away from it too. Now, sadly, I only managed to do 2 Mythic Plus on the DK for this week. So the only 2 runs that we managed was the Algotha's Academy and the Halls of Valor. We end the day with 957 Mythic score and 380 item level. If you guys did enjoy the video, a like would be much appreciated. Consider subscribing to the channel to see how this journey continues and ends. And if you'd like to catch me live or perhaps join me for some keys, you can catch me live over on Twitch every Saturday. A link to that and all of my other socials can be found below. But that's me done, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.